Newstalk ZB.
23 minutes away from 8. Prime Minister's with us. Very good morning to you.
Morning, Michael.
We'll get to you-know-what in just a couple of moments. Just let me tick off the Chinese thing and the serious protest. Is this a serious protest? Is this a thing with the Air Force or not?
No, we've explained our position. We were completely inside international law, completely inside civil aviation precautions. We've explained that to the Chinese, and NZF's been pretty transparent about it.
Okay, the petrol deal is coming when? Nicholas said from Washington the other day, soon, this week or not?
Yeah, we're in conversations right now with parties. I obviously can't talk about the timing and the component parts of that because it's commercially sensitive, but what we're looking for, remember, there is additional supply over and above everything we've got.
Okay. Are you sick of this?
Which part?
The
polling part.
The speculative bullshit and the endless myopic nonsense that's coming out from the backbench of your party.
Well, you hear me all the time say I don't comment on polls because last week I was led to believe we had the coalition government would be re-elected and reinstated with a 10 MP majority. Yes, our share needs to improve. This last poll, last night, it says that the public of New Zealand want to put in Chris Hipkins and the Greens and Te Pāti Murray. I just don't believe that. What's needed right now is strong economic management and stable coalition government, and that's what I think we're delivering.
Do you believe your polling?
Our own polling?
Yes.
Yes, I do, but I do think there's an acknowledgement that there is a massive demographic shift in New Zealand. I'm not sure all polls are covering all of that, but by the time I'm going into that level of detail, it sounds like I'm being defensive about polls.
No, because I'm just looking at a couple of things. Last week, New Zealand First was 15, and this morning, allegedly, they're 10. Which is it? That's
the problem. I've seen polls in a given week where I've had one that has us at 36, one that would have us at 30, just a couple of months ago. So you can get bounced around by polls, and I listen to it to a degree, but at the end of the day, the public do not want me fixated on that. We've seen examples in the Australian election where polls were all over the place. So you've got to listen to it because there's some genuinely good feedback in there about what you need to do better, which is good. But equally, our main focus is deliver economic management for people.
Are you disappointed? Because one of the first things you did when you came in to lead the National Party was tidy up the discipline. That seems now not to be working.
Yeah, well, we'll discuss that at Tuesday at caucus again because you're dead right. The feeling is that when you get disunity in a party and people talking about that publicly, that just says to the New Zealand public or to anybody that actually if you can't manage yourselves, you can't run the country. And it's pretty simple. And you just got to look at the UK Conservative experience, the Australian Liberal experience, the National Party 2020 experience. And so we did spend a lot of time rebuilding our team, getting a good culture in place, unifying it, finding a way to win, unifying and building a coalition government for the first time. That's, I think, been very strong and stable and doing the right thing for New Zealanders in very difficult times.
Why are they behaving the way they are?
Well, they'll be frustrated. There'll be some frustrated, like there will be in every party. People who've been either missed out for promotion, maybe in a marginal seat and understandably concerned and worried. I want all of those MPs in my caucus returned to Parliament. I think they all have something to offer. And they all work incredibly hard and all pretty smart. And so I really want them to be able to come back to government.
The difficulty is, it comes down to personal sort of interest, doesn't it? At the end of the day, when you come in on a tide, which you had,
yep.
Some are going to go out on a tide. It is a rare day that a party that goes in on a tide then holds the tide, if not increases the tide. That's just politics.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, in an MMP environment, if you look at, I studied all the MMP elections in Western Europe over a number of years now, and you're seeing they're always very tight, but everything, that's why you always hear us say in election year, party vote, because as good as an individual candidate may be in their electorate, I've seen some very good candidates lose on a party wave, and it's a combination of, we think you've got to drive the party vote and run a good tidy campaign in your local electorate.
So Thomas Coughlan, as I've said a number of times on the show, I don't personally know the guy, but I don't think he makes stuff up. He's got 3 sources. Are there more than 3 in your party that are problems?
I read the article. There'll be a handful of people who understandably be disgruntled.
What's a handful? Is it 3? It's 5. So you got 5.
I'd say so. There's probably 5 people that are moaning and frustrated.
So you know there are 5. Obviously, you didn't just make 5.
No, but I'm saying of people that I could think that could possibly be talking to media about their frustrations. That's all I'm saying there.
What do you do about them?
Well, we need to reiterate the case for why we need discipline, because we've seen the cases, as we've had from our own experience as a national party, where we broke the party essentially in a civil war. That's just counterproductive. We're a long way from that. It's just that any sign of this, you want to stamp it out early and hard.
Is Bishop part of it in any way, shape or form, or not?
No. He's given me, as you've seen, public reassurances in my backing. Chris and I, even last night, we had a one-on-one call on a number of topics, and gave me his private backing as well. So privately or publicly, no, he's fully behind me. Would
you accept that this has come about, rightly or wrongly, to some degree, because you're not quite what people wanted you to be?
Well, I get it. Not everyone will want me at their barbecue, but I think New Zealanders would say that I'm able to provide a leadership of a government that's able to deliver economic competency and be a good custodian of the economy. Let's just back up the truck a bit. We've all come through COVID. We're dealing with inflation, recession. We've dealt with Trump's tariffs. We're dealing with weather events. We're dealing with fuel crises. And we're all over it. I mean, everyone is tired and grumpy and wants us to get through this. And I think, as challenging as it is in the world, as challenging as our environments and our challenges are, we are doing the right things to work incredibly hard to set this country up well for its future. And we can get through these choppy waters to the other side, but we just need strong hands on the tiller who understand the economy, and that's what I do.
Because the problem with this is, it was March 6th that I asked you whether you were still going to be the leader of the National Party, and you said hands on heart you are, and I won't ask again because I assume the answer is exactly the same. Nothing's really has changed. But the problem is that we have this morning what we had on March the 6th, which was scuttlebutt, no challenger, no spill, no numbers, just a handful of half-wits at the back of the National Party who want to cause trouble.
Yeah, so that's why
unless that stops,
yes,
it will be corrosive to your chances of winning this election.
Correct, and that's exactly the message to the caucus, and they get that. It's just poor discipline and loose talk, and again, we need to make sure that everybody understands. I've watched political parties come and go and fall over. It's because when you don't have tightness and you don't have unity and you don't have everyone being disciplined, which we've been incredibly disciplined up until this point. We've actually had 49 new MPs, 49 MPs, big caucus. We're in government. All 49 would love to be ministers. I get it, but it's impossible for that to happen. And so, a lot of them are working incredibly hard on their select committees and their local communities, doing an amazing job. And I want them all coming back, and that's our job. We know we've got more work to do. We know we have to do better. Yeah. But that's about us managing this.
Have you talked to Peters and Seymour about this? Because if I was them, I'd be concerned that your problem's my problem.
Yeah, no, we haven't had an explicit conversation about it, but we know that as a three-way coalition, something that's unique to New Zealand, I think we've delivered stable government for New Zealand. A lot of people at the time, Mike, you remember, said this ain't going to work. Luxon isn't going to be able to hold this together. We have held it together. We've leveraged the talents and of the party, of the ministers that each party's brought to the team. Got them on the right assignments. I think we've delivered a lot of really good things for New Zealand, and we've got to continue that work.
So no one seems to accept my logic. My logic is this, that you are the victim of your own success. In other words, New Zealand First, whatever they happen to be, they're doing okay at the moment. They're a 10% party-ish, thereabouts. ACT, something similar, maybe 7 or 8. When you got 50%, centre-right, centre-left, it's a tight race. Your 50% doesn't work with you on 40. Right? You've got two half-decent parties in your coalition with 20% of the vote. You've only got 30 left. Yeah, you are where you are. Yes, you'd like 33 or 35 or 36, but you're not going to get it anymore. Well, that's just the way it is, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on. One is, without getting too Connie the commentator on you, but if you look at MMP environments around the world, and the European environment's the similar electoral system that we have had, that has now matured. We are 30 years down the road. We're in a post-COVID world. You're going to have brands of political parties that are trying to activate certain small groups of constituents in order to get that reflected into a government. The Dutch, who I've looked at, they've gone back through an election after, they've gone through another, government fell apart, 4-party coalition. Yep. But there are some coalitions throughout Europe that are 11 parties, and not one of them will have more than 17 or 18% support. So that is the reality of where MMP ultimately goes. And it doesn't matter whether it's a Labour-led coalition or a national-led coalition, you have to allow room for other parties in an MMP world. It's not first past the post in
Do you think
MMP
you're just
world.
a bit ahead of your time, potentially?
In what way do you mean?
Well, in the sense that we're at a stage now where everyone expects you to be at 35, 36, 37%. You're not everyone's mate at a barbecue, and suddenly you suddenly got a problem in election year. You see what I'm saying? It's just like...
It's just that we will make the case in election year, as will the other 5 parties in Parliament, that you should party vote for them because you should get them to the table to be able to form a government with some other parties. Yeah. But we work in MMP. The New Zealand public give us a result on election night, and then the largest, someone has to go make it work, and that's what we did last time, and that's what we'll have to do again next time. The
Macron-Starmer meeting over the weekend, does that lead anywhere?
Well, actually, very useful meeting. 51 countries, over a quarter of the globe there represented. I actually spoke. They asked me to talk there, and essentially, we wanted to reaffirm this thing called freedom of navigation. It's a key part of international law, because what you don't want happening is other countries thinking they can toll or take control of key bits of waterways. And for us as exporting nations, that's not what we want to see.
But is anything tangible coming out of it? Or is it like the last meeting where you're off to the UN to have a vote that never happens because someone objects?
Yeah, so first of all, it was just a reassurance that that's what we want to see. No precedent setting, freedom of navigation. Second bit was, in a post-conflict peacetime, is there a need for a multinational sort of peacekeeping maritime support program? That's something that we're up for. Obviously, we need to see it done, in post-conflict.
Even if Trump tells you to stay away.
Yeah, well, if there's a need for us to do something as a multilateral community, then there may well be a need. But we want to see that pretty close. A lot about the legal.
But we're not part of it, I take it, tangibly.
Well, we're open to considering it. It would obviously be a cabinet decision.
What are we sending?
Well, we've done a lot. Well, there's a number of things we could do. You could have P8s that do surveillance, for example, across the bit, like we do against North Korean sanctions on their nuclear program.
Okay. Are you going to be here next week?
Yes, I'll definitely be here.
Nice to see you. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, 12 away from 8.